Hi, everyone. Hey, just a quick, just a tip, a quick update. I know the boilerplate food storage item it seems to be is get a bunch of beans and rice, and I recommend it. Beans and rice are cheap. They're available. They're a good source of protein mixed with rice. They are an adequate food supply for survival. You better put away some spices for that too, and it's going to be a rather bland and boring diet. But do you realize there are third world countries that they are poor, they have a very limited selection of food, and they live primarily on beans and rice? It'll keep you alive. So it's cheap. It's if you're trying to, I mean, if you have no food stores, the first thing you need to do is to store something that will keep you alive. And beans and rice is the first go-to. And I always tell people that if after you've stored enough beans and rice to carry you through however long, a year, 2 years, 3 years, that you need to put away, now you need to step back and look at that pile of beans and rice and realize if you don't get busy and start saving something different, that's all you're going to eat. And then you start adding diversity and getting a little smarter about different kinds of food to prepare. And you begin fleshing out your food stores. But I'll tell you what, best bang for the buck is still beans and rice. Then when people come to your door because they're hungry and they didn't do any preparation, well, they can eat beans and rice. And you can make that available. You'll have some to spare. Now, things happen. When we store things, often you ever had something that you pulled out of the back of the cupboard and it would, oh boy, I forgot about that. It's been there a long time. Well, that happened to me. I found these. Don't these look like red beans? They look like red beans, don't they? You know what those are? Those are pinto beans. They are pinto beans that were stored 6 to 8 years ago. And they were not stored under the most ideal situations. They were not put in an oxygen free environment. They weren't vacuum packed. They weren't kept out of the light. They weren't kept out of the heat. And these beans look like red beans. They're so dark. The common knowledge is that beans will store for about a year or two. Anything over that, it is said that they will be so hard that you can cook them a week and they'll never get soft. That's not true. The ones who say that are people who just don't know how to cook beans. There is a simple way that you can turn these hard, old, dried out beans, 6 to 8 years, and you can make them soft, tasty, and just like fresh beans. And I actually did it with these beans, and I cooked them, no pre-soak, no nothing. I just put them into our electric pressure cooker, the Instant Pot or whatever version you have, and I cooked them. Normal setting on that is about 10 pounds of pressure for 30 minutes, and that's all it takes. Now, the same thing, you can cook them on top of the stove in an open kettle. You can cook them with a lid on it. You can cook them in a slow cooker. There's all different ways you can cook the beans. It doesn't change the fact that they will cook up soft. Here's the trick. The first thing you need to understand, whenever you're making beans for any purpose, do not cook them with salt. Do not cook them with anything that's acidic, like don't put the tomato sauce in with the beans while they cook together. Don't put any vinegar in with the beans while they cook together. The first thing you want to do is to cook those beans in water so that they will get soft. Now, I understand pre-soaking is a good idea. It helps cut down the cook time, and you can pre-cook, you can pre-soak these hard old beans, and it'll help them too. I didn't. There's one thing you do add, and that's a teaspoon of baking soda. just like anything acidic causes the beans to lose their moisture, baking soda is the opposite. That's more alkali than acidic, and that causes the beans to absorb moisture. So when you put a teaspoon of baking soda in the soaking water, that will help. Then when you rinse all that out and put them in the whatever cooking device you want, a pot on the stove or an electric pressure cooker or a regular pressure cooker or anything like that, or your slow cooker, go ahead, when you've replaced the water, put another teaspoon of the baking soda in there, and you will be amazed at how soft and how wonderful those beans will turn out. I did them no pre-soak at 30 minutes, straight up what the automatic cooker said to do. I just put the beans and the rice in the water, I added the baking soda, and I hit beans and on the pre-select button, 30 minutes, and they came out perfect. Now, putting in tomatoes, putting in onion powder, garlic powder, seasonings of all kinds, tomato sauce, you can still do that. Do that after they're cooked. Once they're soft, now you can add all of that flavoring in there and make them whatever you would like. But cook them first. And that's the trick. Now, there's one more trick. Beans, especially old beans, tend to foam up a lot when they cook. And that's why you pre-soak them and change the water several times and all of that. To cut down on the foaming, you put in a couple of tablespoons of oil. It'll float on top. It's not going to get in the beans, but that couple of tablespoons of oil while they're cooking will reduce that foaming for you and make it a lot easier to clean up when you're all done. Anyway, I hope this helps. Don't ever throw away those old beans. People who think that, oh, these beans are too old to cook, they'll never get soft. I tell you what, show them how to cook them. Teaspoon of baking soda goes a long ways. God bless you all. From the barn of splanification. Hope it helps. Bye-bye.